Hey guys, Sebastian here. In this video, I'm going to share all the best things you can do in Milos on land. And I specifically say on land because there's a bunch of areas in Milos you can only reach by boat. Places like Kleftiko, Yerakas, or Poliegos. For all of that, go watch my video on the best boat tours in Milos. In this video, however, we're going to talk about places you can drive to or walk to. You don't need a boat to get there. Now, just so you know, 90% of the places I'm going to mention in this video or in this tiny section of the island. Why is that? Well, because the rest of the island is extremely mountainous with practically no road access, so you simply can't get there. That's why it's so essential to go on a boat tour in Milos so that you get to see that part of the island too. These are all the places you should go and visit. I'm going to show them one by one in a second, but the great thing is that these are all 5 minutes apart by car. And so if you are renting a car, navigating all of this is going to be super fast and super easy. All right, first let's talk about Papafragas, which is this very impressive sea gorge, like a little fjord, which was formed by the relentless smashing of the waves, slowly carving their way into the very soft volcanic rocks. Now, just so you know, the main entrance to this site was closed off a few years ago after some tourists fell down and injured themselves. This viewpoint here, however, is just by the side of the road, so it's very easy to reach. But if you want to discover the area a bit better and, for instance, go and explore a couple of caves that were inhabited in the past, then you'll have to cross this thin stretch of land on foot. And I would say only do this if you have a good balance. Don't take any unnecessary risks. Now, online you will find some pics showing people swimming in the gorge. This is one of the most misleading things I've ever seen in my life. Milos's north coast is always windy and wavy, so quiet waters like these you will only see a few days per year. And secondly, getting down there is super sketchy because you basically have to climb your way down. And guess what? That's exactly how some people got hurt. And the authorities had to shut down the main entrance. So don't let pics like these fool you. Papafragas is a place you go to see a nice scenery. It is not a beach stop. The second spot, Kapros, is located just next to Papafragas. It's a pretty similar scenery, except this time you can easily access sea level, but again, it will often be wavy there, so not the best place to go for a swim. And just next to this tiny beach, there's this very cute natural arch that you can go and stand on for a nice Instagram picture. Next, there's Aloromandra, which is a long sandy beach, but what makes it very special is that at the very eastern end of the main beach, you will see this sign, and if you follow the arrow, you will reach this very cool cove. Now, normally it isn't as wavy as you're seeing here because it's a relatively well-sheltered spot, but on the day I went, it was extremely windy. Next, we have Sarakiniko with its super famous lunar landscape. This white color comes from large amounts of silica that were spewed out of the volcano millions of years ago. And it's one of the most beautiful places in all of Greece, if you ask me. Again, this is an area that is usually windy and wavy, but from time to time, it's a little quieter, and on those days, it's a great spot for cliff jumping in case you're into that. But in my eyes, it's more about walking around, hiking all these narrows, and going to higher grounds to get some amazing panoramic views. And there's also this huge network of man-made tunnels that start just next to the beach of Sarakiniko, which are really cool to visit. Next, there's the Roman amphitheater and the catacombs. The amphitheater was built in the 1st century AD and it was restored in 2015. That's why it looks in such a good shape. But the original amphitheater was actually much larger than that. It used to go all the way to the top of the hill. But yeah, for now, we've only restored the lower section. Now, in case you've ever visited the Louvre in Paris, you probably had the privilege of seeing this statue, one of the most famous statues in the world. Do you know the name of this statue? It's the Aphrodite of Milos. Because yeah, the statue was found here, just next to the amphitheater. That's why you will find a life-sized replica just next to the parking lot of the Roman amphitheater. And just next to the amphitheater, you have this staircase going down to the catacombs, which were used by the very first Christians to pray and bury their dead, back when Christianity was still forbidden and you had to hide to do all these things. Now, just so you know, you can only enter the catacombs as part of a guided tour, which only lasts for like 15 minutes and costs 10 euros. And the catacombs are open from 8:30 till 3:30. Next, there's Plaka town, which is the capital of Milos. That's where you'll find the typical Greek island architecture with all the white and blue houses and cute little churches. Plaka is really small. Don't expect something like Mykonos town or Fira in Santorini. Milos has way less inhabitants, so its capital city is basically only a few streets. But just outside of Plaka, there's this tall hill, which leads to the so-called Castro area, which is the highest point in all of Milos. It's quite the uphill, I won't lie, but the view you have from up there is absolutely worth it. And if you can time it to get there by sunset, it's gonna be even better. Just make sure to bring a sweater, because it's always super windy up there. Next, we have the three fishing villages of Mandrakia, Klima, and Phiropotamos. Mandrakia is the most famous of the three, super picturesque, super colorful, and that's also where the famous Medusa restaurant is located, but more on that later. Klima is the second most popular fishing town. This one is not a bay like Mandrakia, but instead it's a long beach full of boathouses that have been converted into accommodation. And Klima also has this very relaxed restaurant right in the middle of the beach. I really like the vibes of Klima. And then there's Phiropotamos, the third fishing town. It's much smaller and a little less interesting in my opinion, so if you're on a tight schedule, just do the two first ones. So there you go, these are all the most amazing places to visit in that section of the island. You can take a screenshot of this if you want. To cover all of this with a rental car, it will take anywhere from 1.5 to 2 full days. The rental company I recommend in Milos and in the rest of Greece is Auto Union, and I recommend you use rentalcars.com to book it because it's much cheaper to get full coverage insurance through them than through the rental directly. I'm gonna leave my affiliate link for rentalcars.com down below in case you want to support my work. Thank you very much. Just make sure to select Auto Union in the list of suppliers. If you're not renting a car, then I'm gonna leave a group tour by minibus down below, which covers Sarakiniko, Papafragas, Plaka, and the amphitheater for only 90 euros per person, which is great value for your money. All right, let's talk about the best beaches now. If you've watched some of my videos about Santorini or Mykonos, you should know that the wind in the Aegean Sea is always blowing from the north during the summer, which means that all the best beaches are always down south, since that's where you're sheltered from that wind and you don't have sand constantly flying into your eyes. Now, the 5 most famous beaches down there are Provatas, Filiplaka, Tsigrado, Hierakas, and Paleochori. Tsigrado and Hierakas are only reachable by boat, so that leaves us with these 3, which do have road access. Provatas is a long sandy beach surrounded by these tall cliffs. Filiplaka is roughly the same, but with slightly lighter colored sand, which makes the water even more beautiful. But the best beach in Milos, in my opinion, which you can reach by car, is Paleochori. Look at the colors of these cliffs. This comes from all the iron and the sulfur that was released during prehistoric eruptions in Milos. Beautiful, beautiful stuff. And on any of these beaches I mentioned, you have the choice between lying down on your towel, which is free of charge, of course, or renting a set of 2 sunbeds, which will go anywhere from 30 to 80 euros unlimited time. And by the way, there's also this great kayak tour that covers the 3 beaches of Filiplaka, Hierakas, and Tsigrado. It lasts 3 hours and a half, and it brings you to all sorts of caves and rock formations. It doesn't replace the boat tour because obviously with a kayak you won't go very far, but it's a very nice little add-on for water sports enthusiasts, and it's only like 60 euros. The link to book it is down below as well. All right, let's talk about the island's local delicacies now. Food you can only find in Milos and nowhere else. First, there's the lavenia. It's a flatbread coated with lots of olive oil and then topped with slices of tomato, onions and oregano. So it's something like a pizza, but Milos style. And by the way, don't worry, in just a sec, I'll be telling you where you can find all of this. Next, there's the pitaraki, a fried cheese pie stuffed with ladotiri, which is Milos's traditional sheep and goat cheese that is aged in olive oil. Delicious stuff. Next, there's grilled octopus, which was previously sun-dried for one whole day over some splashing waves, and in that way the octopus gets naturally salted by the seawater and it takes this nice smoky flavor from being in the sun for so long. Next, there's the karpuzopita, or watermelon pie. Same idea as the super famous spinach pie, except that instead of spinach, you put a mixture of grated watermelon, honey, cinnamon, sesame seeds, and then some flour to thicken the whole thing. Again, super, super tasty. All right, now what restaurants do I recommend in Milos, and where can you find everything I just mentioned? Well, let's start with what is for me the biggest hidden gem in all of Milos, Kivotos Soniefsion in the town called Polonia. It's a self-service bakery, perfect for breakfast, but it could also be at any other time of the day. On top of the usual Greek pies like the spinach pie, chicken pie, and so on, they also have the amazing watermelon pie I mentioned earlier, and the lavenia, Milos's flatbread. The second place I want to recommend is Yalos restaurant, also in Polonia. They are specialized in raw fish preparations like carpaccios, ceviches, and so on. So if you like acidic flavors and the idea of raw fish doesn't scare you too much, then this will be your absolute paradise. And if you're more of a meat person, then you should try the mutton carpaccio. So mutton is the adult sheep, and the surf and turf, which combines the sun-dried octopus with pork pancetta. Super, super tasty. The third place I'm recommending is Sirocco on Paleochori Beach. They have this very unique feature of baking multiple dishes in sand, which is extremely hot there due to the underground volcanic activity. There are 4 dishes that are cooked in this way: an eggplant with garlic cream, a potato with melted local cheese, a lamb shank with chickpeas, and the fish of the day. And apart from that, they also have this very unique watermelon salad with fresh cheese, cherry tomatoes, and olive oil, which is a very unique combination, and it turned out fantastic. Plus, Sirocco is located on the beach, and so by definition, you will have a wonderful view while having your meal. The fourth restaurant I want to recommend is Medusa in Mandrakia. This is without a doubt Milos's most famous restaurant. Tom Hanks was there recently, Justin Bieber came during COVID. So yeah, needless to say, it's always packed, and they don't take any reservations, so you have to show up, put your name on the list, and then wait for half an hour if you're lucky, otherwise 1 to 2 hours. And while you're waiting, you go and have a little walk in Mandrakia, which is a very cute place. If you want to avoid having to wait for too long, then go between 3 and 6 in the afternoon. That way you're avoiding the rush hour of lunchtime and the rush hour of dinner time, and you might actually be seated right away. Now, many people ask me, is Medusa worth the hype? And the answer is yes. Their pitarakia are fantastic, but above everything else, the real reason you should go to that place is for the sun-dried octopus. Because yeah, just below the restaurant at sea level, you'll see a bunch of octopuses taking in lots of sun. That's their specialty. That's how they got famous. And oh my God, it is to die for. Now, in case you're into wines, there's a very nice wine tour you can book. You're given a little visit of the vineyards first. Then you go to their traditional wine cellar, which is a cave dug into the volcanic soil. This is how Milos locals have always done it. And then you have a whole tasting where you'll try 8 different wines plus some local cheeses. If you're into wines, definitely something to consider, and I'm leaving the link down below. All right, if you feel like supporting my work with a one-time donation, buymeacoffee.com/GreaseExplained is where it's all happening. Thank you very much. And I'm gonna leave you with these 2 videos, where to stay on Milos Island and the amazing boat tour you absolutely have to go on if you're coming to Milos. And there you go. That's it for today. Hope you liked it. See you in the next one. Bye.